What highly illegal thing took place at your high school? My golf coach got arrested in Kansas for driving with a spare tire full of cocaine. Murder. A kid in the grade ahead of me murdered his sister behind the high school. An acquaintance of mine helped him bury the body. 2 students planned and carried out a coordinated attack on one of the math teachers by waiting by the top of the stairs between periods, and when he passed by them to go down the steps, one of them pushed him from behind, while the other put his leg out to trip him. The teacher fell down the steps and broke his neck and back, and was paralyzed from the neck down. The kid's reasoning, because one of them was dropped from the basketball team because he was failing that teacher's math class. Both of them were 15 years old, so they didn't get jail time. They both got expelled and were sent to juvenile detention. The teacher sued the school district and got a settlement in the lower 7-digit range. Knew a guy that sold cocaine in class and tried to offer a girl pot to sleep with him. There was also some public underage sex in one of the halls that led to a girl starving herself until she miscarried. The principal was f***ing students. A few years after I graduated, some parents found out and took him to court. He hanged himself before he could be convicted. Edit. Corrected the word hung. Had a guy selling heroin. After that there was a weekly police presence. Also, a kid bound a girl to a chair, gagged her and stuffed her in a cupboard in the woodworking shop. He claims it was to help her complete the sponsored silence she had been doing that day. Over spring break one year, the entire hockey team and the cheerleaders all went to rehab. The girlie was dealing coke to all of them. We had a softball coach sleep with his students. But a far more interesting story that didn't technically take place on school grounds. There was this kid who was constantly being harassed by bullies. They would even follow him after school and attack him. So there was this hardware store across the street and a lot of kids would hang out in the parking lot after school. The bullies chased the kid inside and cornered him in the garden section. They kept hitting and kicking him, so the dude grabbed an axe from one of the shelves and just started swinging. All the bullies ended up in the hospital with various injuries. Security camera got the whole thing, but I can't remember now if Jim Lee son of Gloin was charged or if it was ruled self-defense. Update. I followed up with my sister, who actually knew the kids involved better than me. She was closer to their age. The news articles that came out at the time didn't really talk about the pattern of abuse that led to the axe kicking, but she did confirm that Jim Lee was sent to juvenile corrections for a while. She remembered when he got out and as far as she knew he was doing well. Our football coach took off with one of the girls in the high school and moved to Mexico and married her. He had a wife and kids. They then hired a brand new football coach who was 23 years old. Before the end of his first year, he was hooking up with an 18-year-old senior girl. They also took off and went somewhere. We went without a coach for a couple years. A bunch of the guys had a fight club. It had been going on for years, no face hits, and there was a 18 group, so if they got caught nobody got assault on a minor charges. It was actually really well planned and had been going on for years. Until one Dumbus Jr. broke the first rule of Fight Club and posted a video. A bunch of kids got suspended. I think a couple of the seniors got probation or deferment. Edit. I think it's wild how many of you ask if we went to the same high school. I've gotten multiple different countries and at least a 15-year range. I've posted about this before, but some kids in our business club were so enterprising they started counterfeiting money, which resulted in the Secret Service showing up to investigate. My teacher was molesting my 14-year-old classmate for a while. He went to jail and is still there 20 years later because another past victim came forward. So that's pretty illegal. One of the old teacher's aides got arrested for child porn and filming the elementary kids' bathroom. 1. A teacher got banned from the school district because he put all of the big-chested female students at the front of his classes and stared at them. 2. A teacher got suspended for telling a black kid to go kill himself. 3. A guy used to wander around the parking lot asking anyone who walked by cocaine, "Want some cocaine?" Had a pretty controversial case involving a handicapped student who had cerebral palsy and muscular dystrophy. His parents filed a lawsuit accusing 2 of his handlers of abusing him by dumping him out of his chair and forcing him to wear a neck brace so he'd look them in the eye. Worst part was I don't think the handlers suffered any consequences. I looked up articles on it and all of them highlight the abuse and lawsuit, but none follow through with the results, which is frustrating. A few high-up administrators on the school board, including the superintendent, were embezzling money and spending it on hookers, partying, gambling, and going to see a live taping of Jerry Springer. This had apparently been going on for years before someone recognized them in Jerry's audience. That's how they got caught. A teacher and an administrator embezzled millions. I didn't even know all this happened until years after graduation. Some of my friends had the teacher in question. Football team had an incident where somehow a Gatorade bottle ended up going up a freshman's butt. Edit. Hey gold nice. A mentally handicapped student beat up a teacher while yelling, "Where's my cookie?" A teacher was caught having sex with an autistic student. I believe he claimed to have loved her. Her dad was also teacher at the same school, and he left after the incident came out. I went to a rural country high school around the time school shootings were becoming a bigger thing. One day this guy looks up completely panicked and runs out of class. He went hunting over the weekend and forgot to take the multiple shotguns out of the cab of his truck. Edit. Also we saw one of the older seniors, big guy, football team, lose it and punch his young freshman girlfriend in the face. He broke her nose. Then he tried to fight the officer on duty when he was getting arrested. This was during lunch in front of half the school. They got back together after he graduated. 2 kids had sex in the toilets a few years ago and other 2 kids burnt a desk inside the class. Kids were selling candy and snacks to other students, obliterating the monopoly that the vending machines once held. Administration cut that out real quick. Allegedly there was a girl who would film herself being intimate with her dog and sell the videos/pics. My ex brought a gun to school and threatened to shoot me and my new boyfriend. The principal hired a bunch of students to sell steroids at the local gym. Same principal gave the same students a list of kids who were questioning their sexuality with the counselor before GSs were a thing, and they all had their lockers bashed in with a baseball bat. One of the kids had his parents notified and was beat within an inch of his life. Art teacher used to hotbox her classroom and then use the kiln fan to pull all the smoke out. Some guy called in a bomb threat. Someone else brought a gun, unloaded, to school. Another guy couldn't handle his weed and took a in the auditorium. A terrorist bomb exploded just in front of our school when I was in middle school. We were studying when it happened. There was a big smoke. Glasses were shattered. Everybody rushed outside. As soon as they heard the explosion, I just stood dumbstruck in my seat for a full 10-6 before being able to move. Years later, this is still the most overwhelming experience in my life. This year the fire alarm's gone off twice BC of kids smoking weed in the bathroom. Freshmen vape in plain view of teachers and no one cares. Someone got shot during an after-school drug deal a couple months ago. Edit more. Freshman year my Spanish teacher got arrested for physically stalking a former student who had been having sex with since before her 18th birthday. Edit even more. We're supposed to have pep rallies about 8 to 10 times a year. About 9 of the last 12 scheduled pep rallies have been cancelled due to fist fights and credible shooting threats. Bashing a kid's skull in. Drama teacher slept with the hottest chicks in class and nothing ever happened to him. Distribution of child pornography. Now the girl, at the time 17, who was in the video is a porn star and is now 20. Edit. For everyone asking, her name is Jasmine Garsha. The cheerleaders got caught selling morphine. The football team got into a brawl with a rival school at a local pizza place over said morphine scandal. A huge fiasco over a kid putting baking soda and vinegar in a test tube and sealing it and taping it under a lunch table till it exploded. Not highly illegal, but not legal either. I figured out how to make fake IDs in my home darkroom and showed a friend how to do it. This was in the early 70s, before Photoshop, when analog darkrooms and chemical-based photography were the only option. He went into production in the school darkroom. His quality sucked. He got caught. My quality was excellent, but I only made one for me. Probably the pedophilic cult masked as an A/AA group that met in the basement somewhat regularly. The press box at our football stadium was a notorious hotspot for getting high or drunk. Nobody seemed to care either. Out of sight, out of mind.